Good evening, heroes and heroines, and welcome to Practising Programming in C, where we are doing some more of Cinera's config stuff. I spotted yesterday, after doing the stream, that I am failing to do a particular bit of it here. Essentially, I think it was on this. So I tried to resolve the family variable in Cinera underscore included, but I don't think it's relevant that it's in the included file. The only bit that's relevant, I believe, is that it's a scope. So this support thing is a scope. If I now just put that in there, I think we now get that error, yeah, on line 0. If I don't do that, then I won't get the error, clearly. Now if I do, I think I could reasonably do it right here, couldn't I? This is on line 133. So that isn't failing. I guess project family could actually resolve. It's unfortunate. Variable could be resolved. Yeah, so there you go, line 0. So all that's happening there is that we're just not setting the line number. And I believe that's happening in scope tokens if we're in a scope here. So I think all we need to do is set the, where we set the pair dot value, I reckon we need to set the pair number, a line number. Actually, is it that? I think it might be that. Position. And now the line comes through. So that was all that was. You just need to set the position, and the file name was already being set way up here. Yeah, that just gets straight up set to that. I suppose we could be a bit fancy here. It's a bit cheeky, but we could just do this. I'm not quite sure which way around I want to do this. Not that it matters in the slightest. But like, what makes driving that is, and also it's going to have to be below all of them. So you initialize the dudes up here. So you set the int pair key, the pair key, and the bool pair key. I think I might do them the other way around actually. So we've got the pair, the int pair, and the bool pair. Right. And you set the position in the same way. So it's like the pair. I think this should be legal. If it isn't, then I don't care. Yeah. So it's a bit cheeky, but it kind of does the trick. So all this means is that it's setting the bool pair key to be that. It then sets the int pair key to be the value that the bool pair key was, and then sets the pair key to be the value that the int pair key was. Similar with the file name. If we get rid of the ft bar, then the plus int current in all cases form could happen right here. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether it's above the config pairs or below them. Yeah, it does not matter at all, so we can just leave that there and then put it where we want to. But now we've sorted that particular error out, what I would like to do now is deduplicate all of these. Right. I think it would just make it nicer if that thing is deduplicated, because all that's happening here is line 47, right? We're talking about the HTML dir. This is getting absorbed by all of the projects, right? So it's getting absorbed down here by Project Risky itself is absorbing it, and then this interior Project Risky, this Project Risky, although this person and this person are actually the same thing, because they actually get merged into the same person. So I guess I'll get rid of that. And unit, just say that's day, just a bit more what it's going to be like. It'll get absorbed into the risk and then the book, and then all the way down through all of these projects, hence all of the errors. But they're all talking about line 47, which is just that. So it's when this person does owner, search project. Yeah, I mean we could do that with everything. So I mean if you just do this, for example, get a load more. Now I've got some on line 54. That was that one that we just added in, 54 there. So in order to deduplicate these, the only place it's actually getting duplicated is in the resolver. That's the only place I reckon I've figured out that actually can produce these errors, because I believe when we're building up the scope tree, like if we encounter an error, then like well, we either finish, we either stop passing the thing in, or we can continue, and if it fails at some point, it's going to be failing at a particular point, I believe. So you're not going to get duplicated things, really, if I'm not mistaken. So where is it going to be? Resolve variables. This function here, I reckon here we want to introduce basically like a little stream. Well, I'm not even sure if it's a stream, but it's going to be like some sort of record of the error that we've produced. It's going to be like the file name, the line number, and probably a pointer to the string that, like, that's a point. No owner set. Yeah. So what would that be? It sort of seems like it might be. So when we emit that error, just have a quick look at what information we've actually got. So we have a scope per count. Owner set, but the person does not exist. I think we could reasonably use this string here. Right. Use a pointer to the scope pairs value. This is going to have a string, and this is representing the config identifier strings variable. So that could be fine as well. I believe that that base pointer could reasonably be used to disambiguate stuff. Similarly, this person ID value. Those you consider duplicates of the errors. So yeah, I think what we'll need to store is the position, which is going to include the file name. It's going to be the file name and line number. So the position contains the file name and line number, and the pointer to the string that we're talking about. And it's like the pointer to the variable, really. So yeah, let's do that. Type destruct is like a resolution error. What do we call this? Was it just a position? DB landmark. Well, it's not that. It's in the config pair. So token position. I think that's what we want, because we're always going to be talking about a failure to resolve a variable. For example, this, you want to be producing that. Specifically that in there. Yeah, actually, now I think about it, you know, I was talking about if that is equal to the wrap z or the wrap 0, the config identifier thing, config identifier string. I don't think it's that I would want to be using the pointer of. It's really the pointer to the actual thing in the file, I think. So here we go, we wanted to push error. I think it just needs to be a void, I think. I think we want to have a push resolution error and a get resolution error, I think is what we want. Then wherever we were doing the config error, wherever we were emitting the error, what you do is you'd say, if we can get an error that corresponds to what we should be doing, what we should be pushing, then don't push. Or, so, like, if you don't get an error, if get error fails, then go ahead and emit the error and push it onto the, well, yeah, and push it onto the thing. I think we could just do that. I'm going to be pushing this on to the resolution errors. And I think we were talking about it saying the file name the line number and the pointer to the string, wasn't it? Pointer to the variable. Let's keep them separate for now, just in case. Actually, no. Let's just make it take them together. The token position and the position, because I think they come through. They always come through together. So the first thing we need to do is we just say this error is equal to fit. And that's already a pointer. So let's remind ourselves how fit does it. Within bytes, item count, items per block, 0 initialize. I think 16 is a reasonable number. They're only kind of small. It's just this, really. So we need to pack the stuff in, don't we? So it's the E errors at the E count. Position is equal to the position. Just straight up do that, don't you? Probably dereference that, is that right? Bollocks. If I don't do that, that fails, yeah. So dereference that. And the variable var I think that's just as it is, isn't it? You just say that pointer is going to be equal to the incoming pointer. Sorry, actually. No. We do just do that. And then you actually, when you're doing the get, I think you need to be comparing the variables base against each other. So the actual the point of the string could reasonably differ, I think. But you want to be checking that the string's base is the same, I think. And then you say get error, so it's going to be a resolution error pointed to it probably. And it's taken exactly the same stuff, I reckon. So if the E errors I positions, I think actually nope. What does this like? So if that position's file name is equal to that, and the Yeah, like I was saying, if the variable's base is equal to the that's what we're talking about, then you return that. Right, and then if you get all the way through, you just return 0. Strictly speaking, you could check the string length as well, but I don't think there's any point in that. By the way, if you're watching and you're thinking I'm very chill, it's probably explained by the fact that I'm listening to this beautiful album by Yakashek called Trainee, or Trenny, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Lombulian says, looks like Miblo is live. Jesus, Lombulian might be watching. So, he's in Abner's stream, he said that. Okay. So, if all of that is true, then we do that. We're also going to need to free it. Free errors. And that's just going to be literally just free the E errors instead of the E counts. Don't have a function for this. Free and reset count, yeah. It's a free book. It's free is each individual page. Free rules frees that. Free script tree frees that. Yeah, so we have got a we need to kind of wrap this function. You know, we tend not to call it directly. So there we have it, and somebody's not happy. Oh. So that now that we've done this, I think we actually need to throw this up a bit higher so that people can actually access it. Yeah, like all of these people, whoever this is calling needs to be able to access the stuff we've just done. Resolve string, reset pen. Is there any more stuff? Yeah, it's actually resolved like a bit variable. Print book. I think we're now into the territory of stuff that's not anything to do with this. Yeah, extended string. So the resolve. I don't think the resolve environment variable needs to bother with this. Because it's just like it's just not something that we can emit an error about. I don't think. Because I mean, right, if you just do this, for example, that environment variable probably doesn't exist. And all that happens is if it doesn't exist is that it just gives you nothing back. And I think it's reasonable to assume that if somebody uses an environment variable, if somebody uses a variable that isn't a local variable in their config, I think it's reasonable to assume that they meant to do that, if you know what I mean. The alternative, I guess, would be saying here, if there's no resolution, then you omit the error. And you sort of warn about it. You say environment variable not set. I mean, I guess there probably wouldn't be any harm in doing that, to be honest with you. Because it's going to be accessible to us. So yeah, let's just slap a mark down there. And put these guys up above. So there they are. Then I think what I'll do is I'm just going to work my way backwards. Let's go down to the main function. Assert that config result is calculating that. Calculating a config. Yeah, okay. Sets the page size for the variables, result variables. Okay, yeah, that seems reasonable, I think. Then after this, we just say, we get our resolution errors up, don't we? And I think just putting it on the stack is fine. I don't think we need to calloc this necessarily, you know, in the way that we're callocking this, because we don't need to care about returning a pointer to this. Right. Once we've resolved the variables, we can reasonably just free them. So let's just actually do that. I think that's right. And then you just pass it through, don't you? Result is the thing. Let's pass it as a second argument. Result string is going to have to take it. So that's taking the config. Let's just pass them in the order that they go in. Push support. Yeah, let's make that take it straight up. Oops. I suppose I could just call that E, maybe. Just to, like, you know, you've got C, E, P. That doesn't like something because the resolved string isn't taken it yet. So let's just get a resolved string taking that. And then I'll just check the WeChat for the beep that just happened. Oh right, yes, everybody's just gonna have to take it. My camera's hilarious. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, the baker. Yeah, I think it kind of fits with my general approach to things. It's just like a bit of an off-kilter kind of aesthetic. That isn't taking it yet, I don't think. No. So yeah, it's going to be basically whatever we see, C comma, we just need to add an E comma, I reckon. C comma, change that to be C comma, E comma. Push person onto project will have to take the resolution errors. GetPerson probably needs to, it does error, doesn't it? I think. Let's just let it take it. Okay. More beeping, by the way. Okay, so that was somebody going live. I presume that was maybe Casey and Alan going live. Maybe. Don't know. Yeah, Casey and Alan. That was Alan. Go for the fork of the jam. So what is the error again? Push project onto person is not taking the errors yet. What is this actually doing? GetPerson. Did we say that GetPerson should take the errors? I think we did, didn't we? Yeah. We totally did. Resolution errors. So although it isn't resolving, could not find person. This is the person that reports the error though, so I think it should check. Although what could it check on? It's checking the person ID, isn't it? Yeah, the person ID value. So yeah, good. We'll be passing that, this, and the person ID value to the get error function. And then this is the big guy, resolve local variable. So, resolution errors. So, yep. Strangely enough, this is kind of good practice for what we're going to be doing pretty shortly, actually. Because once we've deduplicated this, all we're going to be doing is pasting the whole config parsing stuff into the main file. Although we're probably not going to paste it necessarily. We're just going to I think what I'll do is I'll just include this file. I'll kind of just if zero this bit out because we can't have that in an included file. I think I'll just include it in Cinera.c somewhere, and then we just need to work through all the errors, all the compile errors. But yeah, now that we're doing that, where's the resolve string function? Oops. Not an age command. So look moments. They're taking it. This person isn't taking the E, but we kind of said that we could do. It could do, didn't we? So let's just make it take it. Yeah, you can see that we put the stuff above it, so clearly we intended it to be usable in here. So, let's do the get local variable first. Resolve local variable. So, it's essentially for each of these config errors, you want to say, we want to try and be getting it from that resolution errors thing. Or rather, if we can't get it, then we do this, and we need to push. So it's going to be the resolution errors, and it took the position, which we bundled up, didn't we? And this. I think we said to take it as a pointer to it. Well, it's coming in as a pointer to it, so we just pass it like that. If we can't get the error, then we emit the error and we push the error. So variable could not be resolved. Let's just try and figure out how this could happen. So it's family. I think within a person, if you use the family variable within a person, it should fail, shouldn't it? But I'm not sure if we can necessarily push on duplicates of it. Variable couldn't be resolved family. Now, yeah, like I say, I'm not sure if that's actually able to duplicate. So let's just do this. If we want it to always. Let's test it on something that we know can actually duplicate. So we know it in a set. Oh, Jesus Christ. And this person is like that. So, yeah, I see. Well, let's see if this deduplicates it. Actually, now think about it. This is going to have to say, if we even got I think the pushing should be fine because it can push on a null. Just see if we get that deduplicating. Huh, it didn't deduplicate. Interesting. Oh, hang on a second. So this is only... So this needs to be, this could be false. So if this and this, if there's no variable, and there's either no variable set or this and this. Actually, hang on a sec. Now that you say that, we don't need to then evaluate this if we've just done an OR, right? And either the variable isn't set or the variable, you know, these guys are equal. So I think we need to do that. I think we need to wrap this thing up. You know, because if this succeeds, you know, if there's no variable set, then we can come into here and we don't bother to evaluate this because this is an OR. But if we fail that, then we can proceed to check the rest of it. So yeah, so that works. And just to fully reiterate that, there they are, duplicated. So company 10947 no NSM. Variable could not be resolved. Should we just go up them like we did do previously? Ident_person, variable could not be resolved. So if we've got, well, that is going to be resolvable because it is a person. I think if we use a person here, this should elicit that error, shouldn't it? If we can't get error, oops. And this is going to be the position again. Is it just this? I think, could this be right? I'm just skeptical because this and this here is on the stack in this function. And I'm just wondering when we push the error on, won't we just lose it? Yeah. So you can't really use you can't make it take the string exactly. You need to be talking about the base. I think, don't you? Token position. Yeah, we haven't got the token itself at this point, which might be a bit of a problem for us. Maybe we do need it to take the actual token. And then we just use the actual token. Well, hang on a second. No, because you do need to be able to get, slice bits out of the string. Don't you? Yeah, so you can see here, resolve local variable. So this thing figures out, so it uses the test, right? It produces a test string here. So this string test. This is going to be the thing that produces the substring of the actual token. So it passes that thing, that test, to here in order to find that. And then it passes the ID. So it sort of seems, in this case, you might actually, rather than yeah, that's interesting because you never know this. So here's the thing, these strings, there's just a rule that they can't span multiple lines. Right. So the tokens, the line of the token of this string token is going to be the same line as this. Right, that's just how it is. So that position, in other words, is going to be the same. And additionally, the only thing that we're looking for here is the actual ID. The only thing we need is the ID. Right? Because we're checking the file name, the line number, and we're currently checking the string. Or it's currently checking a string to see if it's all the same thing. But we don't need to do that. We could change that string pointer thing to just be a config identifier. Right, this guy takes that. The resolve environment variable could. Oh, that's the point. Yeah, I think that was the reason, wasn't it? Is if the resolve environment variable is going to do it. You wanted a way. I think that's what I was thinking about. I wanted a way to talk about this as this, but I don't think I can do that because, without actually making a string and putting it on the heap. I don't think I can really do that and make it persist. So this is kind of arguing against making the resolve environment variable function use this system. Just making the resolve local variable use it. Again, like I was sort of thinking about earlier, just trust that the user, if they used an environment variable, they knew what they were supposed to be doing. And have done with it. Right. So instead of using a pointer to a string, or a string at all, just use a config identifier. and that would be variable. You don't need to bother about checking if that even exists, you just sort of say. Let's consider. So dereferencing the position, and we set the variable like that. I think that's more like what you want. So then, when you do this, rather than saying the config address string of the variable, you just pass the variable itself. And that's going to be the same all the way down because we're switching on the variable, strangely enough. The reason that we're producing this string here is so that this person can resolve it. So yeah, that still works, it's supposed to do. Variable could be resolved person. So on line 54, yeah, this person variable cannot be resolved. I think that's just what you want to do. It's just how it goes. So yeah, person project. I'm just going to throw these guys in. Then I'm going to go to the loo, and then we're going to go on with including the file in Cinera.c. So this is a project, so I think I cannot resolve that within something like this, right? Variable couldn't be resolved, that. What kind of variable is this? It's a support. It's a home page. I think this should be able to do that here, should we? Variable should be resolved. Support, yeah. And additionally, I think we could elicit many more of those from there. Now that's interesting. That it hasn't deduplicated. Did I actually build the file? I did build it. So, I did push it on. Yeah, that is an important part of the process. Owner set, but the person does not exist. I mean, it's just the same again, isn't it? And also this one now, we can do this. Ownership of the person does not exist. So let's say that the owner let's just say the owner is Mr. Full Dimension. Did we build that? Push the error. See position. Owner said the person does not exist. So it's the owner variable on line 149. Scope and value, push error, e-position variable. Could not find person. Ah, right. That's a different error. So the owner set with the person does not exist. So if I just let this happen, do we get more of these? At least. Yeah, we do. Okay. So they're all passing the variable. No owner set. Variable could not be resolved. That's already doing that check. So there we go. Then consider duplication. It's just going to be here. So we know that we're getting a person. I want to say what the person does not exist. I guess the error that we're pushing on here is going to be person, isn't it? So we can just hard set its ident person as the so where we're passing the variable here, we can just use ident person as the actual error, and then wherever they're supposed to be used, you know, whether it's owner set with the person does not exist, or whether it's annotator set with the person does not exist. Well, we don't even support that, do we? Actually, no, I don't think you can do that. I think this would be interpreted. Yeah, I think this is going to be interpreted as an environment variable anyway, because, well, actually maybe not. I think the thing is, if we just straight up don't handle it, mind you, if we don't handle it, shouldn't that be in here in the default? Ah, I think that's what's happening here. Well, definitely not seeing the high there, aren't we? Annotator. So switch on the variable. Right, get config identifier from string. This goes over the config identifiers. There is annotator. So yeah, I would have thought that we would have got that. the defaults. GetPerson, I suppose. Person, project, support, owner, family. Switching on the variable. Let's just put this up as like one of the first ones. I'll just under support. There we go. Hi there. So I'm not exactly sure why that wasn't popping up, but basically the deal here is unhandled local variable, really. We are going to need to do a string for this as well. Well, it's the same, exactly the same deal. And it's not really going to be resolved. It is specifically an unhandled local variable. So there we have an unhandled local variable on line 54 of Cinera.conf. Yeah, perfect. So now we have could not find person. I'm just make sure I've saved that. Owner said, well, the person does not exist. Yeah, I feel like we worked all the way up to here, didn't we? Owner said, well, the person does not exist. And then it's here. So the question was, oh, there's no position. Wait. Config pair, okay. Config pair, but I think we need to pass it like, oops, like that. And then finally, what's kind of driving that was just do it like that. So then we get the owner said with the person has a mystified dimension. Got the could not find person mystified dimension. So yeah, we just deduplicate all the could not find persons on line 149. It's interesting that they appear in different orders now, but that isn't really what's happening. It's just like this was the first one, and then we got the 47, yeah, and then that after it. And yeah, like I say, for the resolving the environment variable, I suppose we could actually use the null identifier, the null config identifier, couldn't we? Actually, maybe not. No, I don't think we should bother doing anything like do anything with this dude. Because he could have something like this. You could have, whatever. You could have a couple of things on the same line that it fails to resolve. And if we're just using null for the thing, then we're not going to get both of them reported anyway. You know, because we're not using the pointer into the file as I originally was doing. We're now using the config ID. So, yeah. So we've got variable count resolved online thingamajig. So this was just originally images. And we're leaving the title list in there just so we've got a reminder that that's still to do. So yeah, I think we're satisfied that that's doing what we need. All of the config errors in the resolver are now being deduplicated. You would actually, yeah. So don't need to print that. Although, yeah, I think I thought I'd leave it in just until we finish that up. So just have one quick glance through the config error calls just to make sure that they're all surrounded by the get error, push error. And also it's worth mentioning that the reason we're not wrapping this whole thing into config identifier is that but it's not always going to be doing that, right? Like we've got config identifier calls up here that we don't need to care about deduplicating things. I mean, I guess technically you could sort of say the config error takes a boolean, which is like try and deduplicate it. But then you'd have to have everybody who's calling it config error, everybody who calls config error would have to take the resolution errors and then you'd have to, I mean, you wouldn't call it resolution errors then, you'd call it just like errors. So yeah, I think I'm fine with it just being explicitly done, do the check. If this fails, then you do that. So yeah, that's all of them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go to the loo. And then we are going to include this file in Cinera.c and get chomping through the compile errors. So yeah, be back in just a moment. We are back with grapes. Only the dopest grapes for us. It's 23 minutes of this. Probably not enough. Let's queue up a bit more stuff. I doubt I'm going to do this whole lot, by the way. I imagine it's going to be a pretty messy process. And I reckon if you're not a fan of, or rather if you if you need closure, then I guess brace yourself, really, because we might not be getting some closure before the end of the stream. Quarantine, let's get some quarantine on by Laurel Halo. So that'll give us an hour and 4. That'll take us till 10. Yeah, let's go with that and see how we get on. So quick gander at my camera. Yeah, it's just on the side. So let's make ourselves comfortable. And load up Cinera.c. I think maybe also, before I do it, I might just save off. I might just copy the currently working Cinera file. So what version are we on here? Does it say the version? I don't think this one does it? It's okay, so Cinera 0.6.8. That's not right. Is it? Is that right? Okay, fine. So rsync Cinera, it's just that, isn't it? To stick this in software binaries. So I wonder if I can just call it the whole thing here. I think there must have been subversions of versions. See what happens. And now if I just list that directory, what do we get? We get 0.6.8. So that's smaller than these. I assume that these were debug builds. Well, this one and this one probably were debug builds. And this one were probably optimized builds. Yeah, this is an optimized build here. Oakley, so here we go. So we're in Cinera.c. So actually just first of all, that's done. I guess the place to include it might as well be where the config structure, this guy here. You know, might be as good a place to include it as any here. Might also be an idea to copy the config.c file. Right, So at least we've got a record of the thing that actually works. Because basically what's going to happen here, probably, is that I'm going to be comparing this and this. You know, so in this case here we've got this assert redefinition. Yeah, I think what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be comparing the two things, and in some cases retaining the thing from Cinera.c and deleting from config.c, and vice versa. And then I think maybe there might be cases where I need to move stuff from config.c into Cinera.c so that stuff can take place in the right location. It's possible there might be less of that having to happen. Because we're so close to the top of this file. Yeah. I wonder which version is actually in the repo, by the way. So we've pushed 0.618, so we're working here. Probably 0.7 actually. Because it's a pretty big change. This is probably going to be 0.7.0. I think that should cover it. So on we go. I think I prefer the top one because it's using fprintf. Conflicting types for bool. Really? Typed with unsigned int bool. Yeah, I'm fine using a uint, natural uint. Really? Where's the assert being defined. There's the assert. And there's config.c. Okay. So yeah, I need to remember to actually save both files. I think let's just call that this. And also we need the log count. Actually, we like to type diff, don't we? I think enum, this additions, I think we're going to get rid of this completely. Right, because this whole thing here is essentially network addition, which just means that there's multiple projects. I just don't think there's any point in having a separate things for all of these. An addition signal just has to go, because that's pointless. Oh, mind you. Yeah, you remember when I was saying that we might have to move stuff around? This might be one of those cases, unfortunately. We're including it here. Maybe we could actually reasonably just include it higher up. And delete the version from here. I know that sounds insane, because Cinera.c actually needs to use this. But basically the goal here is to get the whole thing compiling, and then just straight up paste config.c into here. I think for now I've decided against sort of changing it all to be like including lots of files. I think I will just stick with it being the one file for now. Ah, right, yeah, so I need to remember to keep building the Cinera.c file. Should build config.c. Should build this. Okay, so Cinera.c. Where we've got the include config, let's just move this up as I say. Let's just stick it right there. So we got your defines here. Thing is though, here, we're way down here. Maybe actually we leave that where it was. Yeah. See, it's going to be quite some process, this. I think let's do this. And then move these guys down. So here we don't know what a token is. Does the log level stuff even have to be this high? I'm going to suggest it doesn't. Log level string. Fuck it now. So this was crying because it didn't know what a token was at this point. We need to put this above there so we got the token. But now the print in pair is crying because this thing well, the log level strings isn't available for to this guy. I suppose jeez. I might just kill this screen. Can I just rotate? How do I split the other way around? Right. So these guys up here could reasonably just live straight there, right? This function will be way down there. So maybe I just get all the token stuff and just paste it below here. Three and a half thousand lines of this garbage. There's array count. So what we're doing is we're talking about well, hold on, what is the problem? Log level strings undeclared. As far as config.c knows. Right. So what we're doing is taking all of the stuff that's to do with tokens and just slipping it in between here. Well, it doesn't even need to be there, does it? Int function print int pair. Oh, hold on a second. Maybe we actually want to just take the print int pair functions. Config identifier strings, you have to pull them with it. Numbering scheme strings. Yeah, so these guys need to know what a config pair is as well, even. What happens if it's the other way around? Just run myself. to know what a token is now. I think it might be nice to have these functions together, all the log level stuff together. Also, one very simple change I could actually fix up is just and what is this struct for? Oh, this is the config which I'm replacing anyway. Okay, so there's not much of that being used. Log levels. And this is a product of the log level thing not being type deft. So yeah, it seems that the only place it was used was in the old config, but not as its actual thing. Right. Could do with a good strategy here. Just so you can just think of like, what the hell you just do. You just see what the problem is, and you just operate on it. So I sort of feel like, in an ideal world, we just paste all of this over this, and it all just works. So that's essentially what we're trying to do here, in including this here. So I think that's the goal, right? Replacing that over that. We see here that we need a token. So we need that definition. So when we need a definition of something, do we just paste in the definition? Or do we bring in everything that needs that definition? And I reckon maybe actually, because this is right here, maybe what we actually need to be doing is just bringing in the minimum amount of stuff that it actually needs. So it says we need the token, just bring the token in. Right, and as stuff from here needs other stuff, we just keep pulling it all up, I think. Or rather, well, we'll just see what happens. Right, so bring in the token. Yeah, now we've got these token type strings. Token type, and there's the token. I've got the tokens and then the token set. And then we've got an unrelated string to int. So I reckon we'd be within our right to pull this whole thing up all the way down to token type. What is this function? So I think pull all this up above our log level stuff. Now what? We have an unknown type string. Okay. So let's go and get that. And also, we did have a string to int straight under those guys, so I guess we could pull that in, because that uses a string. pull this in under the token. Well, under the whole lot, wasn't it? Under there. That's using a string. Although I guess we could put the string stuff together, couldn't we, if we wanted to? So we've got the string stuff up here. Token type strings. Then we need to get the actual string definition, which is here. Type main file. So where's that? That's here, and that contains a buffer. Should just bring those guys in. I think we should have a redefinition of buffer, shouldn't we, at some point? Strings differs, that can go with the string to int function, can't it? Skip white space with the tokens, and the buffer is going to have to go below the token stuff that we just pulled in. I don't think we have the string length function up here, do we? Maybe what's going to happen actually is that we could find ourselves duplicating functions into here, but maybe that's just fine because we'll handle that when we get there. Yeah, like this string length. Now, yeah, we have got a string length function already, but I'm going to pull in the one that we just did. So that's going to replace the thing. Okay, so now we've just pulled that in. So we need that strings differ to be above to get log level from string. Did we pull it in? Okay, we did pull it in. This function. They're all using 64-bit diffs, apart from our friend up here, so there's that. So now we need the config error stuff. We'll get that. So that's going to probably actually need the wrap 0, isn't it? Let's leave it without for now. So we're just going to put all the erroring stuff above the log level. Okay, print C. I guess we could just pull all of this stuff down, so the colour strings. all those print dudes can just come straight in. We can bring in the print function as well. So the checking of the strings, let's put the print strings after that. I think, is that wrap 0? It doesn't, yeah. Config errors, let's put it above all the config errors. Maybe with, is the string stuff above here? I think it is, isn't it? Yeah. Maybe with sticking that with the string stuff. So after the matching and before the printing. So we've still got 3,000 lines to go. Jesus. Redeclaration for enumerator RC success. Okay. Mode is decisions made in RC. So let's just do all of that. Don't think it matters if there's a null or anything. Like there's no real sort of scheme to these guys. It's just whatever they do. Oops. I think that I will just stick success at the bottom, just for the fun of it. And also because it's got no comma. So okay. Sorry. Implicit declaration function assert. And this is in config.c, it doesn't like, so I reckon just move these in below the assertion. But hang on a minute. Oh, did I build the wrong file? Yeah. Conflicting types for config. So location pointer, ID and size. Yeah, that's all the same. The difference is that the size is not an int, although it's a uint64. But I think we can live with that, can't we? Now the interesting thing will be, if in deleting that from down here, do we kibosh some other stuff? Oh no, of course we won't, will we? Because all of these people will have what they need. this numbering scheme, NS calendrical, do we just delete it then? If it's in Cinera.c, I think we do. It's worth bearing in mind actually that I need to save this stuff off so that I can actually set them in the new guy. I've actually made it handle the stuff I need. Username, name, homepage, supports. Yeah. I think let's just save this stuff off into a new file. I suppose I could actually just write these into the main config. Now that I think about it. Interestingly here, Orlando Bloom's Patreon is not the same as his username, nor is Brett's. His Patreon is Indie Function. Mutatsu's is the same. The Happy Cats is the same. So they can make use of the default Patreon URL. So where are we up to? Redefinition of colour strings. So I just deleted the numbering scheme from the Cinera.c file. We now have the redefinition of colour strings. What do we call it? What do we call it? Wait, what? Colour codes. Jesus Christ. And also, I think I'm going to just change this to be the singular. Right, this is something that I did do for a while. I had like the enums talking about the thing as if it's in the plural. Yeah, Modes does it. As does additions, which is deleting. Also the mode is going to go, isn't it? Maybe. No privacy. because we've got the ignore privacy thing. We can disable the rev resources with a Q, but I guess we need to actually communicate that to the program somehow. Well, we do have that though, don't we? Because it's like, if project mode, sorry, if the project's query string is set to an empty string, then we know that we don't need to do that. And we should have that available to us to check. I think one shot is going to go. That's a load of bullshit. Force integration, I think we might have to keep that actually. Possibly it's not even used anywhere. Let's get rid. Oh, I'll tell you what, actually. We're probably using ongoing, aren't we, somewhere? Yeah. So we'll need to keep that somewhere. So these are the regular codes. Just change that color codes to be that. And then we need to define for the ongoing. So yeah, we didn't do this very systematically, did we? Really, it was just like do the colours that we think we want. So what do we need? We've got warning. We haven't got private, so we need a private. I think that was blue, wasn't it? Warning was 33, so that was apparently being set to yellow. Yeah, 33. Private is being set to 34. 034. 034 is CS blue. Ongoing is CS purple. Comment. Don't have that, do we? Comment and deletion, so they're going to be the black, aren't they? 130. Black bold. Error. We've got that. Addition. Success. We don't. Oh yeah, we do have that. So addition is going to be the same as success. And reinsertion is then the final one. Which is going to be 133, which is yellow bold apparently. addition reinsertion, let's put deletion with, well, doesn't matter, does not matter in the slightest. Okay, so unknown type for color codes. Did you mean color code? Where is that saying that that's happening? Print current token. Oh, right. Okay, so now color strings, I think this can all reasonably just get deleted. Because we've got everybody that we need. Clear, conflicting types for clear. This can go, because clear can just be a void thing. Right. Look. Conflicting type for string length. And I think we got the string length, haven't we? String length 0 is what we actually, well, no, it's not. Previous definition was up there. Yeah, this can go. And then we've got a bunch of copy string functions. I guess these have to go up above. Right, interesting. So now we're just down to the config thing. I wonder if I can see how many errors we've actually got remaining. So it's quite a lot. 6% of the way through this thing. CS purple is undeclared. Ah, shit. That's unfortunate. It's magenta. So let's do the config. So yeah, what we've done is we've commented out the old config. Control is end of non-void function buffers to HTML. Really? Shouldn't that have just happened anyway? Oops. So yeah, well, we've got the CS purple on go. I can't remember if it's magenta or magenta bold. Should we just say it's magenta bold? Actually, let's say just regular old magenta. So there's a bunch of CS purples, wasn't there? comment. Landmarks are displayed. Jesus, what is this talking about? Does the assets count? Landmarks are displayed. This is printing out the database, by the way. They're displayed IP something. I'll just back this up just for a moment, just see what the old purple was saying. Ongoing in purple should be 0.35 and 0.35 is regular old magenta, so fine. Sorry, wherever we see as purple, just change that to be magenta, and also do all of the ones on the same line. So here we go, the config has got no name log level. So the project thing is gonna, I think what we want to do is, where we've got the config, I think we just want to fake this just for the moment. So we've got the config.c here. Now where we initialize that global variable, maybe we just replace config with current project. And we set current project, or rather we replace config dot with current project arrow. And then what we do is we just set up a fake pointer to a project that all these people could conceivably be referring to, right? Because nobody's passing the config around, I don't think. They're not passing it around neat. So they don't actually, so nobody passes it and nobody takes it. So we don't need to go around changing the definitions. The only thing would be the global declaration of the config. So I think that is what we want to do here. There might be stuff within the project that isn't actually, I mean, there might be stuff in the old config that isn't actually in the new thing at all. Oh, theme. Oh yeah, Jesus Christ, we've got to do the theme. Wow, that's totally true. Hold on a second. Right, there's no theme here. pretty unfortunate. I guess we just need to then just go back to the other file and just write these guys in. Just do this again that we just did. I think this is correct, isn't it? That does build. So in config.c, the file that we're copying from. Yeah, that is unfortunate. Could have done with looking at this before actually starting this whole process. Cache directory. Yeah, do we not even have that? Jesus, I don't think we do we? So we're not bothering about single edition. Right, these guys we can ignore them. Do we have to play with URL prefix even? It'll become a full-blown customizable output URL. We do have this, don't we? Insofar as added the output location, so we don't need this anymore. We do have these two, this and this. We've got this, and this. We've got this. We will have that. We've got this. Yeah, we've got that, this. We've got that. We don't have this. We have this. We don't have the cache directory. So the mode. I think we were saying that we could determine the mode from other stuff that we're going to have available to us. So we don't need that. And we're getting rid of the addition. So I think we just need to add the cache directory. Now it's a question of, is that per project or is it per thing? And it's probably reasonable to say that it's just per project. So we keep the same structure in our config. So config contains a number of people and a number of projects. And it's the projects that contain this cache directory. So yeah, let's just do that as well. That is unfortunate that we just missed all that out. It's only two things, it's not too bad. So it was here, wasn't it? Config identifier. And now that I think about it, you might want to say that it defaults to xdg cache dir, and then if it finds something else, if it finds a different setting, then it sets that to whatever you set it to. So it's after base URL. I think cache dir should do it. So it was the theme and the cache dir we just added. I don't think we should have to handle the theme in the resolver. Don't think that would be appropriate. So we now just need to duplicate what we just did into config.c. Work our way down from the place that we were doing it. So, theme and cache dir. probably worth mentioning that it doesn't matter the order in which you add these guys on. It makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. But what you do need to make sure that you do is make sure that where you initialize these people, that they line up with the actual strings. So yeah, fortunately that's now okay. Right, so the idea was the following. Do we have a such thing as a project in here, by the way? Or do we need to change that to be a config project? I think we're probably okay, aren't we? We've got a project info, which is kind of a bit closed. Print usage. Blimey, print usage is up at 39% of the way through the file. There was a time when that was just right up above main. But I guess that goes for most things. So in DB3. I suppose I could just initialize it, couldn't I? And see what goes on. This would be a prime example of a case where Casey's thing would be invaluable. You know, like the view that he's got in 4Coder, you can just show all of the types and all of the functions. Yeah, I think we're fine. Then we're down to project, down to config. Yeah. So implement config.h. So that was, we're planning to include that there, weren't we? Right, so what I reckon we do is for the following. I mean, I guess current context even. So, and also you don't even need to say that it's supposed to be something in particular. You just fake it. Right, because you know that a project is just not one of them, but it's one of these. Right, so log level uint8. So you can see here, right, if config.log level is that. Now what I'm suggesting is that we change config dot to be current context. I mean, current project would do it actually. Now that I think about it. Because that's all that this is talking about. It's talking about the project stuff. Current project is going to be a pointer to that. So what I'd say is say config dot should we just blanket replace them all? Oh shit! Actually, we need to add them to the project, don't we? The theme and the cache directory. That's suppose it's got nothing to do with this particular change. $273 substitutions rather. Really, you can't find this. So string theme but it doesn't matter which order they go in. Okay, so now this is going to cry about something other than the log level. Right, so these are the copy string functions. Because we didn't have the notion of an actual string in Cinera. Do we have such a thing as a copy string 0, I wonder? We do not have a copy string 0. Oops. Copy string to bare pointer. So we don't have So I think what's going on here. So I think we don't need to make a copy string lengthed. I think what needs to be happening here is that we look at the error message to see that it's actually on line 55. This call to copy string is trying to pass the current project cache directory to the errors log. Well, it's not there, is it? Is it 1658? Yeah, log error. So we've got a string. We're trying to construct the entire log path for this thing. I think I might just if zero this out for now and just do like a to do this properly. maybe using a memory book. So it's like write string in book, extend string. Yeah, and then you do have to somehow turn that into a... Well, maybe use make string actually. That's probably what you would do. You just make string 0 of these two people. This case will be an L. This thing is an S. And then you just pass that made string into here. And then after you've done that, you have to free it. Let's just do that actually. So it's going to be a length and then a string reject. Yeah, and that's a bit cheeky, but let's just include that in that. Guess that's right. Right. Make dir is our own function. So that could conceivably just take the actual string, and then before it passes the path, yeah, the trouble is you need to be passing 0 terminated bullshit to make dir. I think the thing about this actually is that it's kind of handy that it is null terminated things, because you can sort of do this craziness, checking for null, and then just slapping the slash back in. So strip component from path, it kind of does that. And yeah, I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that. Because strip component from path, really, if you're talking about an actual string, all it needs to do is decrement the length. but in decrementing the length, you lose the knowledge of the original thing, don't you? Which you can kind of hackily retrieve by just storing up the number of ancestors and going through the null terminates that you just stuck in. So it's a bit cheeky. But I suppose we just make another string, don't we? What did we do? Where are we even talking about? Is this what we're talking about here? Wasn't it log error? Yeah. So I suppose we just make a new thing. Unfortunately, you can't wrap. I don't think you can wrap a string into a null terminated thing quite as readily as you can wrap a null terminated string into a string, which is kind of unfortunate. Read file into buffer. So here we go. The original function it talks about null termination. I think I want to get rid of this whole thing. Let's just look at the file, the actual new function we did. Right, read file into buffer. So this is saying full error handling. So it's taken a string file path. It's returning a file. This returns an int. So it's returning success. That's kind of unfortunate. It's returning different stuff. So a file buffer, it's worth bearing in mind, is just a file. And the way that it's currently working is that when you call read file into buffer, you actually have to have passed. You have to set the actual file name. Right, dp metadata, and I think every single time we call this, we don't even bother to. We always pass 0 as the whatever we called that expansion. So yeah, you can see here when you init the DB. Read file into buffer. I wonder if this ever frees the file name. Because we make string here, take the file name in. Could we catch errors, permissions, and bail? So let's see actually if we even bother to use the return codes, because if we don't, then I mean, another option actually is we can return a file pointer. That would tell us if we successfully managed to do it. So that says if we didn't read file to buffer, debug entries head account. If we don't successfully read that in, we just fail to open. Yeah, it kind of seems like read file into buffer. Right, you just allocate a file and return the actual file. Is that true? So this is just a locally declared stuffed on the stack thing. Nice how it's not even initialized. I think in this case, if we manage to read it, then you just do your stuff on the thing that was returned. And then free the file. Free the file including its file name. Do we have that? Free file. So yeah, we don't. I think that's probably a bit of a faux pas. Because this file name ain't ever going to get freed. Is it? Free token set, does it? Make string 0 is taking a file name. Why the hell is that taking a file name? File name and line number. Yeah, why are these guys taking those? Colorize. Config.c. That seems a bit ad hoc, doesn't it? Casey's currently using a Razer Black Widow Tournament Edition Stealth with Razer Orange Switch sensor to give my middle and driver Drake. That's in recursive chat. Where is that? So Interport is saying that's a recursive chat. I'm presuming it's saying in Hamidero. Yeah. Useless Pony saying there are window managers that support fractional scaling. Where are we? So yeah, I guess this file name here is just to report the error in a totally ad hoc fashion. I think we just threw this in really quickly, didn't we? It's only about getting called by the tokenization thing. You know, I don't think we thought about this particularly hard, so I'm not sure whether we should use this as the canonical one. Usually pass stuff like this as well, by the way. I wonder why we didn't. Oh, this ain't going to build, is it? Config full. Read file. Into buffer. So yeah, what I was trying to sort of do was this. Does that work? Yeah. So that's usually what I tend to do. We were looking through and we were looking to see where it was being called. Like, do we ever treat the errors differently? For one thing. I'm not even checking the return code there. This is returning an int. Read search page into buffer. So that's if it's success. Otherwise it does fuck all. So that just needs to know if it's succeeded. Similarly that. DB file recode. So that. Unable to have a method for this. Examine DB. Returns an RC error memory. But having returned something, it just does nothing with it. So why is it bothering? There's one call to examine database that doesn't even operate on its returned code. That doesn't even check it. That checks success. Yeah, neither of these are checking it. So basically nobody bothered if it succeeds or not. So I think all you really care about is receiving the buffer, isn't it? Right? When you read file into buffer, that's all you really want to be talking about. DB file. DB metadata buffer location. So DB, unfortunately, is a global, isn't it? So it's not getting initialized here. It's not getting passed in. Could we actually catch errors motions here in Braille? Yeah, of course we could, couldn't we? So, okay, here we go. We've got a file buffer that we're initializing here, HTML. We're copying the path into there so that this person can actually load that thing in. Which doesn't have to happen. You could just construct your full path from, you could make string. Right, make a string. Pass that string into here, into read file into buffer. I mean, I guess you could take the file path actually. Since you know you need to be using it as a null terminated string, you might as well just pass it in null terminated. I think the reason I didn't do that in this case was because I think the reason we took it in as a string is that we're talking about the include file. So we're passing through the main file. We see that we've encountered an include file. So we just pull out that bit of the thing. So it was just that string token that we're just passing straight into read file into buffer. Right? Just see what that's happening. It's on in the tokenizer. And the tokenization happens in here in one of the cases if you're in an include scope. And you can see it's passing the pair value, which is the path. But yeah, as soon as we get the file back, we're just using the buffer. We're only using the buffer of it. Although I suppose the tokens wanted to, I think the tokens wanted to preserve the file name, didn't it? So we kind of kept that around. I suppose it's fine to make it return, instead of an actual file, make it return a pointer to the file. And then after having done your stuff on the file, have an actual free file call. So wherever you're using that file, although it's probably in the it's in the tokens, isn't it? So the tokens itself, it would be a pointer to a file. Would that be right? Would that be right, and would that be what you want? I'm just thinking in terms of the thing that you're checking when you return, basically. Right, if you just return a file, you can't say if read file into buffer, or rather if right, you couldn't write like or rather, I mean, since it's not a pointer, you couldn't do that, because that won't give you any, it won't tell you whether you actually got the file or not. Yeah, there's so much stuff that's just going to get changed here, I reckon. Like this thing here, like a temp thing that you're copying. You're copying strings into a temp buffer. Just so you can stick that on. Is that what's happening? I think a memory book is just what you'd want to use for most of this stuff, I think. And make it return a string. I think that's what you'd want. Has no member name addition. So as I was saying, getting rid of addition single. So let's just get rid of that. Right. What's the difference between these guys? Oh, project directory and templates directory. Gosh. Okay, guess that was something that we wanted to do. It's going to be back up to the real file, isn't it? Yeah. It doesn't have a project dir. So what are we talking about here? Project dir. Is this just the base dir? No, it's not. It's going to be the HMML dir, isn't it? Is that right? It is a string. Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about. Project dir. And then yeah, it's this. It was taken. It was being passed as a null terminator string, but now that thing is an actual string. So how did we deal with that before? (1856). I think we changed to using make string, didn't we? Yeah, we totally did do that. See, passing a template. Template is a file buffer. A file buffer contains the path. And that's another read file to buffer. It seems like it wants to be a make string, doesn't it? What the fucking hell is this? Template path plus size of the template path. And then we're copying. What? pointer plus equals copy string. So we're copying into the pointer. The end take away the pointer. Oh, that's the remaining stuff. I see. Gosh. That's the space remaining in that string. And that's a product of the file buffer having a set file size, isn't it? Yeah, set path size. Could this just be a car star? Yeah, it totally could be. You know what? I think I'm going to call it a day and just pick this up again tomorrow. We need to straighten out this whole read file into buffer. Like what are you returning, what you're taking, what you're returning. What is a file buffer? I don't think we want to have a fixed size for the path. Right, we don't have that here, do we? Oh, we just have a file name for that. I think we did establish that we don't really have a standard way that we're freeing files, I guess. I guess we need to know, like, where we're actually using the file name, really. Like, do we just use the file name at loading when we read the thing in? Well, when we open the file? Or do we actually care about preserving that file name? In the case of a file buffer, I think the buffer's ID gets set to that file name, doesn't it? Just in case we want that to be set to that. But yeah, I think let's call it a day. And then when we resume tomorrow, we're just going to sort of nail down this sort of a thing. So yeah, I think as I said at the start of this part of the stream, if you need closure, this ain't the place to come for it. And we have definitely not got closure at all here, because we've got like loads of warnings, loads of config errors, loads of compile errors. Like 17 or 18 pages of this stuff. So there's a lot of project, no member name mode. If current project and mode no privacy equals on or off. So this is actually going to be if current project ignore privacy. That's what that will be. Because that's a boolean. Single tab. Do we have that setting? Yeah, we do. We have got single browser tab, fortunately. Yeah, you can take the boolean. So we do have that at least. But yeah, like I say, let's call it a day there. And then, yeah, do the read file into buffer and just continue working through the errors. So that was 3 hours, 3 hours 17 of streaming. Feels like absolutely years, honestly. And it's going to be very drudgerous stuff. But we got to do it, so we shall. So, thank you very much, Heroes and Heroes, for tuning in, for being in here, for being beautiful and fantastic, and for being configurable, and for not being conflicting. Yeah, thank you for all those things. Until next time, farewell for now.